Awesome. So now we are actually being recorded. So this will be saved on the ESG DOLA website along with this slide deck so you all can reference it in the future. So for today's presentation, we'll be discussing emergency shelter as an ESG component, and then I'll provide a brief overview of emergency shelter and the subcomponents that fall within emergency shelter. And then I have a couple of ESG updates and reminders for you all, and then we'll have time for some questions and answers at the end. So emergency shelter funds can be used for providing essential services to homeless individuals and families, and to homeless individuals and families who reside in emergency shelters. Also for renovating buildings that are used to provide emergency shelter. And this funding can also help cover any operational costs that are associated with running that emergency shelter. So what activities are eligible? So the subcomponents within emergency shelter are essential services, renovation, and operational cost. So for essential services, those are for people in emergency shelters, for renovation and rehabilitation or conversion of buildings, that those funds can be used to help obviously with renovations and the rehabilitation of the emergency shelter, and then operation of emergency shelters. Those costs include any utilities, water, internet services, trash, any staff salary, or any other services that are needed to help with the actual operation of the shelter. And I'd say for more information on eligible activities that fall under the emergency shelter component, I would access the hyperlink that is right here in the presentation, and it provides a more in-depth information on different eligible expenses according to the ESG HUD regulations. The next couple of slides will provide examples of expenses that can be covered under essential services, renovation, and operations. So essential services. So like I said, those are provided to individuals and families who are in an emergency shelter, and they can include any of the following that are listed here. So for case management, that would include assessing, arranging, or coordinating and monitoring any individualized services. Child care services. This would be a licensed child care facility for program participants with any children under the age of 13 or disabled children under the age of 18 would qualify. For education services, instruction or training that helps to enhance the participants' abilities to obtain or maintain any housing, such as literacy, English as a second language, any GED courses, or consumer education, health education, and substance abuse prevention all fall under here as well. For employment assistance and job training, these are services that assist the participants in securing employment or increasing their earning potential and helping them acquire skills that can be used to help them secure or retain a job, including like classroom or online programs or even on-the-job training. For outpatient health services, this is direct outpatient treatment of medical conditions that are provided by a licensed medical professional. And these services are eligible only to the extent that other appropriate health services are unavailable within the area. Then we have legal services. This would cover hourly fees and legal advice provided, again, once by a licensed attorney or a staff under their supervision regarding matters that might interfere with the program's participant ability to obtain and retain any housing. Some examples would include like child support, guardianship, paternity tests, emancipation, domestic violence related orders, an appeal of public benefit claim denials, and any criminal warrants. And these services are eligible only to the extent that other appropriate legal services are unavailable or inaccessible within the area. Then there's life skills training, and this would include like critical life management skills that are necessary to assist the participant to function independently within a community. Mental health services. These include direct outpatient treatment of medical health conditions, and they must be provided as well by a licensed professional. And these are eligible only to the extent that the other appropriate mental health services are not available or accessible within the area as well. Substance abuse and treatment services. Substance abuse treatment services must also be provided by a licensed or certified professional designed to prevent or help reduce or deter the individual from relapse. And these services, again, ones are only eligible if they are not accessible within the area. Transportation. This includes cost of travel by the participant to and from any medical care, employment, childcare, or other facilities that provide eligible essential services, as well as the cost of staff travel to support with these essential services. And then there's services for special populations. So otherwise eligible essential services that have been tailored to address the special needs of homeless youth, victims of domestic violence and related crimes or threats, and people living with HIV and AIDS who are literally homeless. Again, if you have any questions about eligibility under any of those like subcomponents, you can always reach out to your grant manager who can provide more clarity on that. So renovation, rehabilitation, and conversion. So this diagram shows the use requirement as well as the building valuation thresholds for renovation, rehabilitation, and conversion. ESG funds can be used for renovation or rehabilitation or conversion of a building to serve as an emergency shelter. But sites that do use ESG funds for one of these purposes must serve homeless people for at least 3 to 10 years, depending on the cost and the type of the renovation, whether it's a major rehabilitation or conversion. That also determines if it'll be eligible or not. Let's see. This is not something that we as grant managers actually see very often, I would say. So if it's something your organization is considering using their ESG funds for, I would definitely follow up with your grant manager for more information just to ensure that the project you're wanting to complete will be an eligible and reimbursable expense, and it falls within the ESG regulations and guidelines. And shelter operations. So under the emergency shelter program component, grantees may use these funds to operate and maintain emergency shelters and maintain hotel or motel vouchers when no appropriate emergency shelter is available. ESG funds can also be used to operate and maintain emergency shelters and provide hotel or motel vouchers when no appropriate emergency shelter is available. If your organization operates as a day shelter, ESG funds can be used for shelter operations if they meet the definition of a shelter defined by the regulations. If it's evident that its primary purpose is as a shelter and if it complies with ESG requirements. A question that has come up recently is if hotel and motel vouchers are being used to house individuals and families, does a habitability form need to be completed? The short answer is no, but of course there are reasons that one would be required, which would include if a hotel or motel was constructed before 1978 and has a risk of lead exposure, or if a child under the age of 6 is present, or a pregnant woman will be living in the unit, or if that specific motel or hotel room was used for more than 100 days. But again, if you have a unique situation or just need more clarity on this, please reach out to your grant manager. And that was our brief overview of emergency shelter. A couple of quick updates. Reports are due on the 20th of July. These are CAPERS reports. They should be submitted through Neighborly as an PDF document. Make sure that those are submitted on time. And the state fiscal year ended July 12th. So if you have submitted any pay requests after that date, just expect delays on that. And then our next office hours will be taking place September 18th at 9 a.m. You all will receive more information on it at that point. Those are just the short updates that I had today. If there are any questions, definitely would like to get to those now. Yes, Gwen.
Good morning. I have some expenses, January through June, expenses for our ESG homeless prevention grant that have not been submitted yet. Do I need to provide a kind of an, and they're not going to be ready by the 19th. We're still collecting the backup information. Do I need to provide an estimate of those, like,
You said
expenses for you to carry forward, or?
you said from January to June.
Mm-hmm.
So the ESG 23 did not become active until April 1st.
I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry. I was thinking of my COC grant. So yes. So it is April to June. Apologies.
Oh, okay. No, you're good. And you're saying, what was your question again? Can you repeat it? Sorry.
Do I have to get those back expenses, like an estimate of them, into you by the 19th, just to have them accounted for before you guys close out, or is not a problem?
You can go ahead and send those to us if you do have an estimate, but either way at this point, it's still going to be like a delay on your pay request. So no biggie if you can. If you can, that's awesome. But if not, don't worry about it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yes. Any other questions? Holly, yes.
Good morning. I'm Holly with Bright Future Foundation. We are a DV shelter. And I had heard that we might get training on the new reporting that we need to do in CAFE and ESG and CAPER. Is that happen? Have I missed something? Because I think there's new data we're supposed to be tracking in CAFE, but I had not clear on if we're doing it right.
You know what? Our DV grant manager is actually Kat, so I will reach out to her and I'll ask her. I haven't heard of any CAFE training updates, but oh, Kat's right here. She can answer that.
Yeah, I just feel like there might be more stuff we're supposed to be tracking.
Yeah, we don't have anything yet. I sent out an email, I think it was 2 weeks ago, with some of the information that we've gotten so far. But unfortunately, we don't have any updates on CAFE yet.
Okay, I will go back and just review that and make sure that we're at least there. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'll forward it to you again, just in case for some reason it didn't get through.
I probably did skim it, but it's just been kind of, I feel like I never quite get the CAPER report right because of CAFE. And so every time we do another reporting time, which is right now, I realize that I still feel like we're not doing what we're supposed to do.
Yeah, no, we're aware. You're good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Any additional questions? I know a couple of organizations are being monitoring over the next couple months. Any questions regarding that process? Or? No. Well, awesome. Well, thank you all for tuning in today. We ended at 15 minutes earlier, so I will let everyone get back to their day. Thanks for joining.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Yes, you guys have a good one.